Just minutes after that 1-1 draw with Ecuador. And listen, we would have loved to get a win, but to not lose to a team that has not lost now in their last 12, to get the goal the way that we did, to dominate on the ball without Christian Pulisic for much of this game, without many of our starters for the entirety of this game. It was a well-played match and a very well-handled match by Mauricio Pochettino, in my opinion. You take away Ecuador's one moment of individual brilliance, a little bit of a mistake by Aiden Morris and then Chris Richards, and that freeze maybe could have done a little bit better. You take that out of it, and the United States dominated this match. And listen, you can't take that out of it. That's part of the match. That's going to be one of our biggest issues when we get to the World Cup is you can't make those little mistakes in possession. You can't give some of the best players in the world that little bit of space. You will lose when that happens. But if we want to take what we saw on that pitch over the 90 minutes, you saw a team dominate possession. You saw a team have 5 shots on target against one of the more compact sides on this side of the world. You saw what Folarin Balogun and Malik Tillman and Tanner Tessmann can do when the three of them are allowed to combine. Chris Richards, outside of that little one moment, was very, very solid again. A lot of interesting things to cover in this match, and I want to get right into it with our instant reaction, our thoughts on the way that some things went for us. First and foremost, that early passage of play around the 6th, 7th minute where Malik Tillman, he dropped into the half space, played a 1 into Balogun's foot. Balogun flipped it around the corner to Tillman. Then Tillman played a lovely weighted pass back into Balogun, who drove all the way into the box, left-footed shot, just a great save by the keeper. But it just over and over again, the thing that we are absolutely best at, when we are playing our best football, it's when Malik Tillman or whoever this left 10 is, so it's been Luna, it's been Pulisic, when he gets close in here to the striker, right? When these two players are able to get close together and Tim Ream is able to get the ball wide out here like you see here and play this ball into this left half space, that is consistently when this team is at its best. What it does is it pulls both center backs or 3 center backs, depending on the team you're playing, forward, and it allows your best 2 players and your most physically adept players to play against some of the best competition in the world to play off of each other in a zone of advantageous possession. And what I mean by that is when Tillman and Balogun are able to play in such tight quarters, they're able to use their ability to get around the corner, to use their quick speed and burst, their unpredictability in the way that they play by getting closer together. Now, that doesn't always seem obvious, right? Like you would think you'd want to have good spacing, and spacing obviously is important. But in these situations, when a player's trying to close you down and you're able to flip it and play a 1-2, and then again, this player now needs to step here and you can play it again, that kind of opportunity continues to happen when we get into that position. Now, I know I jumped forward a little bit. This is how we started in this match. For those of you who either didn't watch or weren't sure, we were in a 5 at the back, 3 at the back, however you want to spin it. You had 3 center backs, Miles Robinson in that right center back position, Tim Ream off the left, and then Chris Richards through the middle. You had Max Arfson as your left wing back, Tim Weah as your right wing back, a double pivot of Tanner Tessmann and Aiden Morris, and then this very fluid front 3. And by very fluid, I mean Folarin Balogun was definitely the striker. Malik Tillman was mostly off the left. McKennie was mostly off the right. But Weston McKennie did a spectacular job the entirety of this match, or at least when he was on the pitch, just popping into spaces. And this is what Weston McKennie is best at. And this is why, for so long, when we were talking about that back 4, why I really liked him as an option in that double pivot. Because when you had a player dropping here, right, and this is the back 5 situation, but if you did, let's say this is McKennie here, he had the opportunity to get into this space in the left side, move over to the right, give this 6 the options and the opportunity to find different passing lanes. And what Weston McKennie did from this kind of right forward, inside forward, right 10 position is very similar, right? Tillman and Balogun were constantly kind of dragging left, pulling together. And what Weston McKennie did was delayed his runs, took his time, and when these 2 players kind of pushed this far away, he'd drop into the middle and receive the ball here. Or when Tillman would receive the ball wide, McKennie would come into this left 10 space, right? And the 3 of them were able to play combination play here. Or when Weah would get wider here, you saw Aiden Morris kind of drop over here sometimes, Tessmann alone. Weston McKennie would come into the right half spaces a little bit deeper and receive and play the ball forward. He's just so intelligent in space. What Weston McKennie can do is identify pockets and then turn those pockets into attacking scenarios, right? Like Weston McKennie's not going to be a volume passer. Weston McKennie's not going to be somebody who changes the way you're able to beat the press from very low areas of the pitch in phase one. But what Weston McKennie can do is provide you an option that isn't predictable, that makes you harder to defend against because he's going to move all over the place. And you know what? When he's being asked to play in a double pivot, that limits him and takes away some of that opportunity. And sometimes it puts him out of position because that's the kind of player he is. It's honestly one of the main reasons he's been so versatile for Juventus is when he plays at left wing back, when he plays at right wing back, he's not staying there when they're in possession the whole time. He's offering himself up high and wide. He's offering himself up in phase one of buildup. He's just a very smart player in space, and we saw that tonight. I just loved the way that he went about this game. Just to look at his stats a little bit here. 35 of 40 passing, 2 of 5 accurate long balls. I mean, this doesn't show you anything, right? You look at this and what FOTMob says, 6.6 rating. You know, he made 0 successful dribbles, 6 passes into the final third, didn't win any duel. Like, that's not the player we saw on the pitch, right? The eye test showed you what Weston McKennie brings to the side, and it left me with one question, really, which is, can Weston McKennie play in this double pivot when we're playing in this formation? Can you find a pairing for Weston McKennie where kind of some of his faults of being out of position, of being so creative and open-minded are protected? And the answer is yes and no. The answer is yes. Tyler Adams next to McKennie, we can make it work. It can happen. But against a really well-drilled side, like in Ecuador, a team that it wants you to get out of position so they can hit you on the counterattack the way that they did, I think there's a huge risk in playing Weston McKennie in that double pivot in that type of match. You do need 2 kind of higher volume players, especially in build-up. And I was going to get to this a little bit later, and I will talk about it later, so stick around for it. But these wingbacks that we're playing with, they're actually a huge part of build-up. And the way that they played tonight showed why it can't be Tim Weah and Max Arfson, why it needs to be at least one of Serginho Dest and Anthony Robinson. It needs to be a player who's comfortable receiving the ball out in this wide area and coming through into the middle of the pitch, who's comfortable to use their opposite foot and play the ball inside, who's comfortable alternating here. Aiden Morris steps out here, and, you know, let's say this is Tillman and this is Pulisic. This player needs to be comfortable coming into this double pivot. I think this works tonight on this right-hand side because of McKennie's fluidity. But when this is Tillman and Pulisic playing up here, I don't believe that it works. It needs to be Serginho Dest. It needs to be a player comfortable in the midfield who's knows how to play out from the back, play from deep. There were so many times tonight when, you know, Ecuador dropped deep enough so we didn't have to break the press very much, and Ecuador pressed in a very narrow way, right? Like they had 2 players pressing front here, so I don't have the opposition players here, but you'll just use my cursor for the sake of it, right? So we were kind of building up like this. Matt Freese was really uninvolved in build-up tonight. He did probably the least he's done as a goalkeeper for the U.S. men's national team. They were pressing a striker here, and then Kendry Paez here. So what that meant was when Richards would play to Ream, you'd have this player dropping here. Arfson was high. This player would get in the way of Arfson. This pass was always here. There wasn't really a whole lot to worry about. And if Kendry Paez did drop in here, that just meant that this player was open or Freeze was open, which almost never needed to happen. There wasn't a lot of breaking down of the press that we would have seen. But to me, I would see this team struggling with Arfson and Weah as the wingbacks. Speaking of Tanner Tessmann, kind of an up-and-down game to me for Tanner Tessmann. I love Tanner Tessmann, and I love what he brings to the pitch. His willingness to play forward with the ball at his feet, to play forward quickly with passes, but also to combine that with the patience that he has. And he showed that patience, obviously, in the build-up to the goal. He didn't get the assist. He got the hockey assist, but he has such an ability to wait until, not necessarily till his teammate opens, but until the most dangerous action can be played, right? Because those are 2 different things. Right, the second your teammate gets into an open space, you can play that ball. But that doesn't necessarily put them in the best position. What puts them in the best position is playing that ball when it's too late for a defender to commit to that player. And Tanner Tessmann has a really good sense for the weight of his pass, the way his player is going to receive it, and when to play that ball. And I really enjoyed that out of him tonight. On the flip side, I do wish he would be a little bit more willing to impose his will on matches, pick the ball up a little bit deeper. I think part of that is Pochettino seems to continue to see Tessmann as the further forward in the pivot, right? So many times, as I mentioned, we saw Morris drop in between. We saw Morris drop low and wide. And so in turn, we saw kind of Tessmann filling this space, right? It kind of turned into this at times, this diamond that we always seem to get to in build-up, right? Like you kind of get these high and wide players. Tillman would drop in here. McKennie would drop in here. Weah would get high and wider. Arfson would get high and wide. And then Tessmann's kind of in this position where, yes, when he picks up the ball there, he can be very dangerous, but it kind of limits him in a lot of ways and limits the kind of high-volume play that he likes to be in and what he's done so well at Lyon this year. So I would like to see that a little bit more out of Tanner Tessmann. I still think he had a very, very overall solid match, in my opinion. Like, again, still 52 of 57 passing. Obviously, he was super crucial in that build-up to the goal and just really strong in possession throughout this match. Never made a mistake. Never really saw him got caught out off the ball. He's really grown over the last 12 months since going to Lyon, going through everything he went through there, and obviously the hot start to the year this year. When it comes to his partner in possession, his partner in midfield, Aiden Morris, I've been rooting for Aiden Morris for a long time. When he first started getting called up in Pochettino's early squads, I really liked getting Aiden Morris in there. I thought his experience at Middlesbrough in such a tough league was the right kind of player that this team needed. But the last few times I've watched him at this level for the U.S. men's national team in international play, he just doesn't seem up to the speed, the technical skills needed, the reading of the game. He just seems to want to try and bulldoze his way through these matches, and that's fine. And I think it works really well with the style of the championship. There's a little bit of a rushness to the way that league happens. Like there's a little bit of just mayhem and franticness, and you kind of want to create this energy in the way that you play and the crowd plays into it. It's the beauty of the championship, right? In so many different ways. But when it comes to playing in this setup and in this side, and you're being asked to play as the deepest midfielder, somebody who's going to control the match, and you're trying to bulldoze, you're playing too quickly, you're rushing everything, and more importantly, you're watching the game be played around you, it's kind of something that you can't grow out of. And not enough time, at least until the World Cup. I don't want to say in his career, but between now and the World Cup, I can't imagine a world in which I'm going to feel comfortable with Aiden Morris in this midfield. I mean, obviously, the build up to the Ecuador goal, I'm going to put 50% on him and 50% on Chris Richards. Aiden Morris took a gamble when he didn't need to, when he should have realized that behind him, his two wide center backs were too high. He had a one-on-one defender against a striker, and it was his job to just stay in front of the ball. All he needs to do there is just stay in front of the ball, right? This ball gets played in. Again, I don't have the defend here, but this ball gets played from the midfield into this player here. Morris is standing here. All Morris needs to do is drop 2 steps, and this pass can't get played into Enner Valencia. If it does, it gets played wide, and then Richards has tons of time to recover. If Enner Valencia receives the ball out here and scores, he scores. But by trying to step in front of this ball and create his own transition, create his own attack by winning the ball and playing forward and getting played around, then you have a bad situation where Chris Richards is on his own. This ball gets played in here. And yeah, Richards could have done better, but that kind of play that Aiden Morris happened multiple times. He got nutmegged twice in midfield that turned into potential attacking opportunities. The game just seemed to be getting played around him the entire match. And again, he may get the chance in the next friendly here, but it's tough to see. And without somebody a little bit, it's not like he can even work next to Tyler Adams, right? Because we know Tyler Adams is also that type of player. I talked about it in the last break when him and Berhalter played together. Players who want to chase the ball. Like, you can't have so many ball chasers, and especially with kind of his not lack of athleticism, but he's not Tyler Adams. He's not an Energizer Bunny. It doesn't really work. And the last thing with Aiden Morris, and I don't mean to pile on, but so many times I thought he did well in possession, but then he rushed these simple actions where it was like, you needed to play a simple pass here or play the ball through there, and you were losing possession. And it's just too many faults to make up for in such a short period of time. A tough match for Aiden Morris. I think he did some things all right, but that's kind of was my takeaway from watching him today. And I would be surprised to see him starting in that match against Australia coming up this coming week. Chris Richards, I just mentioned, tough one against Enner Valencia. I mean, Enner Valencia took a great first touch. Richards struggled to get back. I kind of think Matt Freese could have done a little bit better. I don't know if that's harsh, but I mean, listen, it was a well-taken goal. Like, I don't even want to fault Richards or Freese too much. It was a very well-taken goal. A great piece of striking, like just a veteran striker doing what he does. But Chris Richards, to me, just looked a little bit fatigued from the first 25 minutes of this match. I don't know if anyone else felt that way, but he just seemed a step slower too. Then that goal happened. And he seemed to wake up. He was in such a threat off set pieces as he always is. I don't worry about Chris Richards really. Just overall, such a solid player. Continuing through here on the defense, Miles Robinson. First of all, I think it's funny that everyone said Miles Robinson, isn't going to play right back. Not that he played right back, but in possession, he pretty much played right back. I that's what I meant. I feel like people take the words in formations too literally. In possession, Miles Robinson was the right back, right? That's how we built up a lot. At times, you almost did drop into a four at the back, right? Weah would get a little higher. These players who come here, you saw Adam Morris drop here. You saw Arfson drop here. You actually saw it go this way at times with Tim Weah dropping here or Morris dropping here. So, we almost built up in a four at the back many times during this match. The thing about Miles Robinson in this right center back position, and it all comes back to what I've been saying about Chris Richards in the right center back position, is Miles Robinson's not going to get the ball out wide here and play this pass this way. And it showed in the way we played today. We had a huge left-hand side bias until Alex Freeman came on. And the second Alex Freeman came on, it was the exact opposite. Alex Freeman was attacking both on the outside. He was cutting up through the middle. He was aggressive on the ball. He was aggressive in possession. While Miles Robinson, meanwhile, again, I don't think Miles Robinson did anything wrong tonight. I think he's shown that, yes, in a pinch, if we need a center back, Miles Robinson will probably make the World Cup team as it is right now. It looks that way to me, especially as we move to, a defensive formation with three center backs, and we're probably going to bring a fifth center back. Yes, Miles Robinson looks like somebody who's going to make the team, but no risk taking on the ball, which to me is a bad thing. This formation calls for risk taking on the ball. It calls for what Tim Ream does so well and what Chris Richards can do from this high right center back spot, which is playing line breaking passes, trying to dribble into danger, and then passing away once a player comes and commits, right? Alex Freeman does that extraordinarily well. He'll dribble this way until the player guarding this right wing back steps forward, and then he'll play around him. Taking players out of play will be a massive part of what this back line does in possession, and Miles Robinson just doesn't feel comfortable doing that. And I know I said he didn't really do anything bad. Obviously, he had that one bad challenge, was not pretty. Actually showed incredible recovery speed and didn't really need to go to ground, but you just saw the difference in possession when Alex Freeman came on. And then, of course, the last 10 minutes or so, we did go to that back four. Just moving through the match here, I know I mentioned it already, but it's just no surprise that this goal came from the combination of Tessmann, Tillman, and Balogun. Flo Balogun is just so different than anything else we have. I mean, Tillman is kind of in the same wavelength, but the speed, the size, the athleticism, the technical skill, the hold-up play, the ability to affect the game without touching the ball, right? Talk so much about it with Josh Sargent. He doesn't affect the game if he's not shooting. Flo Balogun not only affects the game when he's not shooting, but he affects the game when he's not even on the ball. He just makes so much space available for Tillman and McKennie. The reason we saw Weston and Malik Tillman in the half spaces with so much space is because of the work Balogun's doing off the ball. He's relentless. He's also a player who I've spoken about for a while, about the fact that he grew up playing off the wing at Hale End. The fact that he grew up playing at Hale End, the technical skill and training that he has is unlike anybody else's besides Malik Tillman pretty much in this side, right? That's why when you see the combination of Tessmann, Tillman, and Balogun, the size, the technique, the athleticism, the IQ, the footballing IQ, the three of the best we have in terms of those combinations, and the patience that they all showed in that buildup, right? I already spoke about Tessmann, the patience for him to take that last little touch to make sure Tillman was going to have an easy time crossing it in. The patience of Tillman to hold that line, stay on side, up until the last second, receive, and then the patience of Balogun to time that run perfectly and finish that goal off. Those types of goals are exactly what we need out of those three players, out of those combinations of players, and why those players need to be on the pitch. You just don't get that necessarily out of, Berhalter, Luna, and Sargent. Not to call any of them out specifically, but there's just something to these players and the way that they understand the game, the way they operate on the pitch, and the confidence and patience that they play with. They're not rushed. They're doing what they do, and it's coming to them. They're letting the game come to them, and then it's rewarded with a goal. And those three players specifically, I think, all deserved to be a part of an action of a goal tonight and deserved to do what they did in that moment. And now Folarin Balogun, in the 17 career starts for the U.S. men's national team, has 11 goal contributions. That's fantastic. Considering the form that we've been in, right? Like everyone's complaining since Pochettino. We're 10-8-6 or something, or 10-8-4 since Pochettino's come in. Like, that's impressive from Folarin Balogun, and he's done it against some pretty solid competition too, right? He had back-to-back goals in Copa America. Now he scored against Ecuador. Like, he is showing the kind of player he is, even when he's not in top club form. And I think that's super important because for the U.S. men's national team, players who are not in top club form rarely come in and are spectacular for us. And Folarin Balogun's just showing that his confidence is not shaken. He's ready to thrive immediately. Last couple of things here as we finish this video up. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, drop a comment below about what you think of this match, what you think will happen, obviously, in the next match against Australia. Last few things here. Matt Freese, again, didn't have much to do. I thought he could have maybe done better on the goal, but 77th minute, probably the only other real moment of danger, in my opinion, that Ecuador created. He took a gamble. He took a risk. He felt he needed to come out and claim a cross on what would have likely been an easy header goal, and came out and did beautifully to claim it. I love that from Matt Freese. I love the fact that he's getting more ambitious in goal and making the right decisions. Just every time we watch him, it's becoming more clear he's going to be the number one at the World Cup. Last two things on a couple of subs. Mark McKenzie. There's no doubt his confidence is not at an all-time high. You can see it in the way that he's playing. You can just tell by the fact that Pochettino doesn't trust him at this very moment. But he also, you can tell by the fact that he wants to get him on the pitch. He is giving him 20 minutes here. I'd expect him to start now against Australia. And even when he's not the most confident, I absolutely love his physicality. He is a bruising center back. It's so nice to have one of them like that back there alongside, the eloquent Tim Ream, the strong but upright Chris Richards. Like, to have McKenzie as that third center back, that bit of muscle and bruising, and what it is, it just kind of changes the dynamic of the game and the way that the attackers want to come at you. It would mean the world to this team if we could get Mark McKenzie's confidence up and into the center of this back three, right? If we could get Richards to be the high and wide and McKenzie to come in here, it will make a world of difference for this side, and I really hope that will happen. Last but not least, I'm sure people were upset that Haji Wright did not pass that ball. Like 89th minute, driving forward, a couple other players in the box. I love his selfishness. That's what makes Haji Wright. That's the kind of player he is. That's why he's the top scorer in the championship right now. He's trying to make his mark. He's trying to show what he can do. I love that out of Haji Wright. More Haji Wright. More. Biggest Haji Wright stan out there right here on this channel, as you guys all know. And thank you again so much for watching Yanks Abroad. Hey, listen, we got a result against Ecuador. I don't care what the FIFA rankings say. They're a better side than us. I have no doubt in my mind that Ecuador is a better side than us. I still don't understand how we're ranked 16th in the world. We are not a top 20 team in the world. Ecuador, to me, is right on the border of top 20. Have now not lost in 12 matches. A good result. Let's go get a win against Australia. Let's look confident. Let's get to see some other players get in there. And that's that, man. Really, that's really how the match went. Some positives to take away. It looks like more and more we're moving towards this back five system. I'd expect to see it again against Australia. I hope Mark McKenzie's in the lineup. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Comment down below, and we will talk to you in a couple of days.